Tonight we visit a family in Leeds.
I was petrified, absolutely petrified.
I could see somebody stood there.
They fear their home is haunted.
I was rudely awakened by a violent shaking. That really put me on edge.
What else will it do in the future? The next thing could be quite serious.
We send in our experts. Psychic Mia Dolan is shocked by what she finds.
Oh, God. I'm going down into a pit.
What's that?
What will they discover in the cellar?
No, I'm just feeling very uneasy, actually, as if someone's watching us.
Like she's been poked. She's been poked in the side.
Will Mia succeed on the toughest challenge yet?
Britain is the most ghostly country in the world, with more than 10,000 haunted locations. But 45% of us say that if the ghost was in our house, we would stay stubbornly put. Clearly, we're a nation that's not easily frightened. Tonight, we investigate a cottage outside Leeds, whose owners say they're being haunted by a ghost that's becoming increasingly malicious towards them, a spirit that actually wants to cause them physical harm.
Teresa Hassett, a customer service operator, Phil Hassett, a train supervisor, and daughter Pippa love their family home in Yorkshire. But they claim they've been terrorised by hauntings for years.
I've lived in this house for nearly 20 years, I think it is. It's about 350 years old. From what I know, it used to be a coaching inn.
We actually bought it without even seeing the house inside. It came on the market on a Friday afternoon, and we bought it on a Friday afternoon.
I don't know what it was about the house that drew me to it. I just felt that I had to live in this house.
Even before they'd unpacked, Teresa says she started to experience things.
I sat in the dining room and I could hear noises coming from the fireplace. At first I thought it sounded like children talking outside in the garden. I did actually get up and go outside to see if there was anybody there, but there wasn't anybody there.
And that was just the beginning. Teresa believes she continued to hear voices coming from the fireplace.
One night in particular I can remember I was sat there with Phil and he made a remark like, "There's bloody kids outside."
And I heard voices which I thought were coming from the garden of children. I went out there to investigate and there was absolutely nobody about. She often hears different voices, but it sort of confirmed it when I heard them, and then both my daughters have heard the voices as well.
Seemingly their two daughters have grown up, experiencing the presence in the house.
I sat in the house one night on my own. I assumed my sister was upstairs in the bedroom listening to music, and I heard someone walk across the landing. So I shouted up. I heard someone go back across the hallway. Shouted up again, and I thought, maybe she's just ignoring me. Went upstairs, there was nobody in. But I heard somebody walk across that landing twice. I was petrified, absolutely petrified. Every noise after that, even just the wind, I was jumping, looking what it was.
One room in the house has always had a macabre feel to it.
There's a cellar in the house. It just feels as like a penetrating cold coming up from the well all the time. Even when you put heaters down there, it doesn't rise 1 degree. It's a very unusual room.
Is it just the cold, or is there something more sinister emanating from the eerie cellar?
The strangest thing about the cellar is we've always had dogs up until last year, all our married life.
And every single dog that we've ever had will not go down in our cellar for whatever reason.
Even to the point where I've picked one of the dogs up and tried to carry it, and it's actually struggled out my arms and tried to bite me to get away from the cellar.
They say they're not only haunted by footsteps and voices.
I've actually been sat in the living room in there when the door is opened and it's walked in, just a black shadow. I definitely think it is a male that I feel the presence of or see in the room. I get the impression that it's wearing like a long cloak, and its hair, it's got long hair. I think it's actually trying to tell us something, but I don't know what. And because I don't understand what it's up to, it is starting to scare me.
It appears that this figure is trying to communicate with Teresa Hassett.
I'm quite sure that there's something there that is not particularly happy with me in general. and there's a lot of incidents that seem directly related to things that I do or when I'm here.
They seem increasingly worried as they fear the ghost is trying to hurt Phil.
And as I walked from the stairs into the front room, the picture, which is fastened up on the wall on the stairs, dropped from the wall like a guillotine and bounced off the stairs.
It was as if somebody had just lifted it up off the wall and dropped it down. If it had hit it on the head, it would have killed him, there's no doubt about it.
The Hassets say that after 20 years of hauntings, they've had enough.
I went to bed as normal, went to sleep, and then I was rudely awakened about 2 o'clock in the morning by a violent shaking. I leapt out of bed and I saw a figure of a man.
The looming figure was said to quickly disappear.
To be physically shuffled about in bed, that really put me on edge. And that's still something that I'm having trouble getting my head around as to why it's escalated up or moved up another stage now.
We gave the Hassets a camera for the week in an attempt to find out what's happening in the house and how it's affecting them.
Over the last week there's been quite a lot of activity in the house. I've heard the voices downstairs by the fireplace. I've had the footsteps on the landing.
I've also had the noise from this bedroom. When you're downstairs, it sounds like a small animal jumping off the bed. The shadow across the top of the stairs and the dining room door bursting open when there's no wind. It's got to the point now where these things are happening more and more and more, and it's upsetting Teresa, my wife.
I'm getting quite worried because it now seems to be attaching itself more and more to Phil, and I'm worried that eventually it will cause him more harm.
After 20 years of hauntings, the Hassets say they're at breaking point.
You can hardly blame Phil and Teresa Hassett for being frightened to live in their own home. Teresa is convinced that a malevolent spirit is actually trying to cause Phil physical harm. Well, they've called in the Haunted Homes team for help, but they are very worried about what our experts might uncover.
Mia Dolan, one of Britain's most sought-after psychics, heads up the team.
A psychic is somebody who covers all areas of paranormal. It's a paranormal consultant. People say to me, oh, I think it's haunted, but if it's a child, I'll keep it because I'm not scared of a child, or I'm not scared if it's not a bad one. It's not a dog. And if somebody is stuck on Earth, they need to go home. So no, you cannot live with a ghost. They are not part of the furniture and fittings.
One of the techniques Mia uses is a spiritual activity called psychometry.
Psychometry is picking up information from objects. If somebody's held something a lot, or used something, or worn something, then it's going to soak up the vibe anyway.
Mia studies the family's most cherished belongings to get more information about the owners.
It's a great way to get a feel of a property you're going to. It's like the first clues. A horse brass. The first image that I get with this is a really old fireplace with old bricks set back. It feels quite heavy actually, a bit oppressive. Now, an ornament. And the first image I'm getting with this is if you can see the breath in the air where it's so cold. Still cold inside though, inside a house, which is not a good thing to see. And once again, that heaviness. Our two main objects here that work, the horse brass and the ornament, and that signifies cold, heaviness, oppression. It's interesting.
Within moments of touching the Hassett's possessions, psychic Mia Dolan claims that she picked up on an oppressive presence surrounding the objects. Psychics believe they have a sensitivity that in theory we're all born with, but few of us bother to develop. Mia is now convinced that there's an ominous presence in the family's home that needs to be got rid of quickly for their own safety. She's now determined to visit the house to help remove this black atmosphere.
What's that?
But what will Mia uncover when she finally visits the house?
It's gone so dark down here now.
Oh, it's been punked.
Terrified day and night, Teresa and Phil Hassett believe there is danger lurking in their idyllic cottage. They say that Phil was violently shaken in bed one night by a dark, mysterious figure, and that on another occasion a picture fell off the wall, missing Phil by just inches. Teresa is convinced it was a ghost. So who or what is so intent on hurting Phil? Our investigation team has been invited into the cottage to find out.
Mia arrives at Phil and Teresa Hassett's home. Apart from the psychometry, she has no prior knowledge of the house, the location, or the family themselves.
It's cold. It's like bone cold. It's ominous. It's heavy.
In the front room, Mia says she picks up on numerous paranormal sensations.
Normally when it's ominous and heavy, you don't get the cold, and yet you got all of it. It's like ice fingers going through your bones, like through your limbs.
Mia makes her way up to the master bedroom.
This room is very active, and even this bed may move as if there's shaking and trembling going on.
Has she picked up on Phil's most recent terrifying experience of a man shaking him in bed?
Someone's been very scared in this room.
Mia is drawn downstairs to the cellar, where she senses things are about to get worse.
Oh, God. We're going down into a pit. Makes me feel physically unwell. It's very ominous. It's death. It's so cold. It feels it should be bigger than this. It's as if it was bigger than this cellar, which I don't understand. People have been dead in here. And I don't mean ghosts I'm on about. Dead have been laid here. Blood down here. Let's get out. God. Anything much quicker I can get out of it, I can go down there.
Mia appears to be overwhelmed by the cellar.
Oh, it's awful, awful. I feel really awful, yeah, awful.
For Mia, touring the house has been a traumatic experience. What will the other experts make of it? Mia is accompanied by our very own paranormal investigator, Mark Webb.
On a paranormal investigation, we tend to do all different experiments. We'll use trigger objects, which are items which we'll place onto a piece of paper. We draw around them. Obviously, if it's in a room that's locked, no one else is allowed in there. And if we get any movement from those, that would indicate to us that something paranormal could have occurred in that area.
Skeptic Chris French, Professor of Paranormal Psychology, will look for a rational explanation.
In order to make me believe in the paranormal, to convince me that these things were real, what I would need is some kind of demonstration that can be carried out under controlled conditions and is able to prove that even under those conditions, when there's no other explanation possible, something paranormal is happening.
What will Mark and Chris make of the Hassett's house? Phil takes them down to the cellar. Will Mark and Chris pick up on any of the feelings Mia experienced?
You're actually stood on water now. Underneath these flags, there's a very old well. It goes down about 10 foot, 15 foot.
Have any kind of weird things happened?
The only thing that's really strange, we've never ever been able to get a dog to come down the cellar.
Down here in this cellar, I'm getting an uneasy feeling. Maybe we can come up with a logical explanation as to what it is, but you never know.
Now that the experts have had a chance to look around the house, it's time for Mia to meet the family. With daughter Pippa by their side for support, the Hassetts are anxious to hear what Mia has found out about their home.
Very strong image that this hasn't always been a house. As if it's been used for something else a long time ago. What was the house before it was a home?
Originally it was a coaching inn.
The barrels?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got barrels in the kitchen.
Yeah. There's stables.
And lots of people coming in.
Yeah.
We hear voices here.
Yeah. Lots of voices in this room, particularly.
Like a party?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you know when you overhear
Yeah.
a party next door?
That's exactly how I describe it.
What's happening in that situation is like a dimensional wall weakens. And so you are hearing spirits from the other side, but they're not actually in your room.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got something left over here from a long time ago. Somebody in a uniform, but not not an army officer. It's a strange uniform.
The Hassets don't understand this. Could it be the man who's haunting them?
And I had the feeling of, it sounds really heavy, but bodies and death.
Despite knowing the history of the house, these details are a shocking revelation to them.
And the cellar, I had a strong feeling it should have been bigger.
Yes.
It's not its real size.
There's 2 houses. It was one big house, but it's now been made into 2 houses.
Oh, so in its day it would have gone along?
I think so, yeah.
Mia ends their chat on a lighter note and tells the family about a special spirit visitor.
I get a very strong feeling of a sheepdog or a small dog in and out of people's feet. But this dog would be in spirit, but would come back. But that's a nice feeling. That's not bad.
Sorry, you're going to upset me.
Sorry, but that's a really nice feeling.
The Hassets think that Mia has been spot on with her findings.
It's a dog that we used to have called Horrible. She was an old English sheepdog, a very, very affectionate animal, and we all adored her, and she died about 3 or 4 years ago. She's left a big hole in our hearts.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it. You're nice and normal.
Oh, thank you. I'm just quite overwhelmed actually with what she said. A couple of things that she said brought a tear to my eye, because I did realise they were there, but I didn't realise that she would pick it up. It's just absolutely unbelievable what she said.
And when she said she wasn't happy about going down the cellar, it wasn't actually a shock. From incidents that have happened in the past, a lot of people don't like going in the cellar.
I'm quite curious to see if there's anything down there.
Teresa is in constant fear for her husband Phil's safety. But now that all the background information is known about the house and the family, our 3 experts, along with the Hassets, are ready to take part in an all-night vigil in the house to try and detect any spirit activity. Our psychic, Mia Dolan, says that if ghosts do present themselves, she'll be able to find out if their intent is good or evil.
It's 11 p.m. on the night of the vigil. Mark sets up his paranormal detection equipment around the house.
Okay, in this front room we've decided to set up some activation objects. We've chosen 2 items from around the house. We're going to place them onto this piece of paper on this table here. We're going to seal the room off, and hopefully when we come back in at the end of the vigil we will have some sort of movement on these items.
In the cellar, a thermal imaging camera has been set up, which will record any temperature fluctuations. Some believe this can indicate paranormal activity. It's nearly midnight, and in the Winnebago, skeptic Chris will study the vigil closely on the monitor. We'll position static cameras in the dining room, in the cellar, and in the front room.
Okay, so we're at the vigil, and for the first part, we're going to just let the house settle and see what we feel and what we hear. Okay? Okay, light's going to go out.
23 minutes have passed quietly. Then, suddenly, unexplained noises start coming from the sealed room.
What was that bang from?
Yeah, like someone opened the door.
Feel it pulse darker.
Meanwhile, in the cellar, the locked-off camera starts to pick up some noises. Mark and Mia decide to go down to investigate.
Strange size steps.
Mark says he's been dreading returning to this room.
Light's about to go out, okay?
Yeah.
The cellar is now pitch black and very disorientating.
You all right?
Yeah. It's like that wobbly thing.
It's got such a dense atmosphere in here.
The dark should heighten their other senses. Mark immediately reports hearing a noise up the stairs.
But I've heard, you know, if you'd stop walking, you'd sort of...
Yeah.
That's what I've heard there. That someone's got to the bottom of the stairs and just stopped.
The sense of presence by the stairs is said to get stronger.
You can hear it right behind you, Mark.
I know, I don't.
Shuffling.
I'm stood here and I just don't want to look behind me.
Strange noises begin to infiltrate the cellar.
I'm hearing, it's like bits of the wall flaking off.
Where are you pointing?
Well, it's to the wall to our right.
Oh, gosh. So dark.
I don't know if it could be some sort of drip,
It's not only in the cellar that the dripping noise can be heard.
You hear a noise, like a drip.
Many of the noises seem to be coming from the sealed room above.
That's floorboards above us. That's the room above us. That's creaking floorboards.
There's no one in there.
Yeah, that's what the noise is.
It's been locked off.
The team report the activity is starting to intensify.
Oh, Mark. We just had someone breathing in my ear. Fucking.
Mark and Mia look completely on edge. As the Hassets have reported in the past, the haunting gets physical.
Did you hear it?
Oh, I've just been poked.
You were where?
I've been poked in the side.
Show me your side, show me your side.
I don't know if there's anything there.
Yeah, you have got Mark.
After 40 minutes in the cellar, the haunting seems so intense that Mia is sure that the spirit is trying to communicate with them. Mia is keen for Teresa to come down to the cellar, as she says the spirit's communicated with her in the past.
I think that you and I, Teresa, should go downstairs into the cellar.
Okay.
And I think Phil should go to the Winnebago of Mark and watch it on the monitor.
At 2 a.m, they all take up their new positions. Like Mark, Teresa reports a strong sense of presence by the stairs.
I'm just feeling very uneasy, actually, as if someone's watching us.
Yeah.
It's behind us.
Yeah. Stay away.
The cellar feels even more intense to Mia this time, and they're starting to pick up a different noise.
Sounds like an animal.
What's that?
They say they can't make out what the sound is, but it's getting closer and louder. Disorientated in the pitch black, they look for the well to steady themselves.
Don't you go and leave me.
No, don't.
It's gone so dark down here now. Oh, it's horrid.
The tension is mounting.
Hear that?
Yes, it's there.
I don't know where you pointed.
I'm pointing. Oh my God!
Teresa is terrified by the bang, so they leave. It's only later that they realise that Teresa's torch had fallen to the floor. After tonight's dramatic events, it's time for our skeptic to take a look.
I'm probably in the right kind of frame of mind to experience anything if I'm going to, because I'm actually feeling extremely tired, and so therefore I ought to be suggestible if it's all down to suggestibility, or if it's all really happening then I ought to hear it anyway. So I'm just going to stand here for a while, quite a while, and just see how I feel basically.
Mia and Teresa have sought refuge in the Winnebago, where they discuss tonight's ordeal with Phil and Mark.
It was weird down there, wasn't it? I mean, you had some different experiences, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought there was somebody over in the corner down where the stairwell was, and I felt that someone was actually staring at me.
No, I must admit I was quite pleased to get out of there. It wasn't comfortable, it wasn't fun, it wasn't interesting, it was just hard work.
Well, I think I've been down here now about 15 minutes. And I have to say that I've not experienced anything at all. I've heard the odd slight noise, but in a house 250 years old, I think you expect it to make the odd slight noise.
Satisfied that there is no ghost, Chris leaves. After hearing so many noises from the sealed-off room, Mark is keen to see if the Buddha or horse brass have moved.
Okay, we've not actually had any movement with these objects at all, which is kind of strange when you consider myself and Mia, we believe we've heard movement from this room. It doesn't appear that anything's actually happened.
The equipment has shown nothing out of the ordinary, but it has been an eventful evening. The family have no doubt that there's been plenty of paranormal activity. It's 11 a.m. on the morning after the vigil. After some sleep, everyone reflects on the events of last night.
Well, we had a very interesting night last night.
It did make me panic, and I'm sorry that I made you jump as
No.
well.
It was so black, you know.
It really
It's very
was.
hard to put into words how dark.
It was just absolutely pitch black
And I had
down
this
there.
very strange sensation that if I wasn't holding onto either the well or touching the wall, I had no sense of where the
Direction.
stairs were, where the wall
Yeah.
was, and I suddenly found myself quickly grabbing out to try and get my bearings back. It was very weird.
It was quite scary down there, definitely.
As always, it was quite interesting. We had an interesting mix of weird experiences from some people, all of which were subjective. We also had one or two kind of more objective things. People could hear sounds and so on and so forth. But my own feeling was that in an old house like this, you expect to get those kind of sounds at night. So I wasn't convinced there was anything paranormal going on.
I actually felt very apprehensive about going into the cellar. Just from the walk round, I didn't want to go down there. And whether or not you believe in spirit or not, I actually felt that was justified during the vigil yesterday evening. Obviously we had a lot of audio noise down there. We also had, or I believe I had, a physical touch onto the ribs, which was a bit of a shock.
After a grueling vigil, our investigators reached differing conclusions. Most of the night's events were centred on the cellar, where both Mia and Mark claim they were physically touched by a ghost. Mia also says that she felt someone or something breathe on her. She says she's now more determined than ever to confront the ghost that the Hassets believe is threatening them. Teresa was so scared by the sudden bang that she heard in the cellar that she ran away. And after seeing her reaction, Mia believes she has to act swiftly. Such an active ghost, she says, has to be got rid of. Well, Dr. Chris French went down to the cellar too, and he remains severely sceptical about the whole event.
Mia says she can summon up the phantom that's said to be haunting the Hassets.
People were chained in here.
My legs are frozen.
In the Equatorus. Inches.
For hundreds of years, people who've believed their home is possessed or haunted have turned for help to a parish priest, a witch, or a medium to get rid of their unwanted guest. Well, that's a power that Mia claims to have. She says she can help get rid of the ghost that the Hassets claim is targeting their home. She's going to use a clearing ceremony, and that's something she doesn't undertake lightly. Tonight, she says she's going to work with her spirit guide to unlock the door to the other side.
Mia, Phil and Teresa brave to enter the cellar, which has been chosen as the location for the clearing.
Whatever happens, you're safe. And it will all be finished before we leave here. Okay, let's do it now. I'm going up the stairs of the cellar. There's nothing up in the kitchen. Turning around to go through the living room. Where is it? Can't find it yet. Going back down into the cellar. It's coming through the cellar. It's a man, and he's got a cowl, like a cloak, covering his head. It's like a soldier, or a policeman, but neither of those fit. It's way back 1820, 1825 time. And I'm seeing this cellar longer, and I'm seeing chains on the wall.
Mia makes a significant revelation.
People were chained in here. People were chained up. And they've got, the people that are here have been killed. Been killed in here. And they were his responsibility, the people that got killed. And he tried to get help, and he couldn't get the help. They killed everybody else before they killed him. He should never have tied them up. He should never have tied them up. I'm going to send him over.
After a few minutes in a trance, Mia says a prayer for the dead.
te propitatio est, et propter ligiam tuam, sustenui in Domini. In Domini. Ex omnibus, iniquitibus, ejus. God. The backlash.
Are you okay?
Will be in a minute. A terrific pressure on my chest. I nearly couldn't feel it. It's the first time it's ever happened to me.
It's gone now.
It's gone. It's gone.
When Mia recovers, the three try to make sense of what happened in the clearing.
Did you feel anything as it was going on?
I just felt very cold.
Cold?
Yes.
My
legs are frozen.
This was a terrific draft when you first started speaking Latin.
The clearing is complete. Only time will tell if the family's troubles are over.
The clearing is an intense experience for Mia and for the family too. Now, Mia tells us that she contacted the ghost during the ceremony and found out that he was an official in charge of transporting a group of prisoners. She says that he and they were all murdered in the house. Now, we couldn't verify that story, but the Hassets told us that their home is a former coaching inn that would have regularly put up groups of travellers.
It's been 2 months since the clearing, and we've returned to the Hassets to see how they're getting on in their home.
The atmosphere has completely changed. It now feels very, very light, very open.
The house is actually much more pleasant than it used to be before. It's not an oppressive atmosphere. I feel fairly confident that any bad presence or spirit or whatever it happened to be has gone.
It is an easier place to live for me because nothing's popping up in the dark to say hello to me anymore. That's the main thing.
I'm probably a lot less sceptical than I was, and I've got more of an open mind now, which can't be a bad thing. So, yeah, it's been a good experience.
We've lived with it for so long, and it's been part of our life for so long, that it will be very strange not having it here. So, yes, it is like a new start. A new era has dawned on the Hassett household.
The Hassets say the ghost is now gone, and Teresa no longer has to worry about her husband's safety. For them, the experience of living with a ghost for 20 years is over, but they remain convinced that during those years, the spirit became ever more intent on making their life a living hell. Like the Hassets, 1 in 4 of us say that if we lived in a haunted home, we'd put the spectre through the same sort of clearing ritual. Haunted homes, it seems, aren't just the product of movie scriptwriters. Perhaps tonight's evidence suggests that it could be happening right next door to you. Sleep well. Good night.
And ITV3 delves into the supernatural with some chilling drama tomorrow night. Another chance to see the first series of Afterlife starring Andrew Lincoln and Leslie Sharp. That's at 10 tomorrow on ITV3. The next here on ITV1, Champions League Weekly.